You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King.
At least 30,000 fans packed the Orlando Stadium to witness the popular singer's live performance.
I drove about 800 k's to come to this guy.
In America today, success for black men often comes with a target on their back. From the heights of fame to the depths of a prison cell, some argue the justice system is weaponized to tear down those who rise too high. RICO and the Mann Act laws originally designed to combat organized crime and human trafficking are now being used to lock up prominent black figures for life. Today we explore this controversial narrative through the lens of one man, Robert Sylvester Kelly, known to the world as R. Kelly. Was he really a predator as prosecutors claim, or a victim of a system designed to silence successful black voices? Let's dive in. To understand this story, we need to go back to the genesis of these enactments.
We'll only write one word.
The Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, was passed in 1970 to dismantle the mafia and organized crime syndicates. It allows prosecutors to tie together seemingly unrelated acts into a pattern of criminal behavior targeting entire enterprises. The Mann Act, enacted in 1910, was meant to stop human trafficking, specifically the transport of women across state lines for immoral purposes. Both laws are powerful tools, but critics argue they've been stretched far beyond their original intent, especially when applied to black celebrities. The Mann Act, once called the White Slave Traffic Act, has a troubling history. Critics, including activists on platforms like X, have called it a racist law used to target black men, from boxer Jack Johnson in 1913 to modern figures. And why is this so? Its vague wording allows prosecutors to criminalize consensual relationships if they involve crossing state lines for holidays or to even attend events. RICO too has been criticized for its rather broad application. Originally aimed at mob bosses, it's now used against individuals like R. Kelly, whose only enterprise was his music career and entourage, with nothing illegal associated with it. Some argue this is a deliberate strategy to frame successful black men as criminal masterminds.
Now, for those of y'all who know how to think deeply, what do Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean Combs, and Kanye West have in common besides being accused of sex offenses? They're all billionaires. They're all billionaires. They are taking down all black male billionaires.
Born on Chicago's South Side, Kelly rose from busking in subway stations to global stardom with hits like I Believe I Can Fly. But his career was shattered by allegations of sexual misconduct starting in the 1990s with his alleged marriage to 15-year-old Aaliyah. But then many of these early accusations were settled out of court with no criminal convictions before the statutes of limitations expired. There is also no doubt that R. Kelly was targeted because of his fame and race. In 2008, he was duly acquitted of child pornography charges, fueling legitimate claims that the system was out to get him, but failed. Then in 2019, the documentary Surviving R. Kelly reignited public outrage, leading to new federal charges. In a rather controversial trial, R. Kelly was convicted in Brooklyn on 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of Mann Act violations. Prosecutors painted him as the head of a criminal enterprise whose existence has since not been proved with evidence, allegedly using his fame to lure and exploit both old women and minors. The charges included bribery, kidnapping, forced labor, and transporting women across state lines for illegal sexual activity. Some tied to Kelly's alleged failure to disclose an STD, which also hasn't been proven with proper evidence. He was sentenced to an unfair 30 years in prison that even some murderers don't get, a ruling upheld in 2025. But Kelly's legal team, led by Jennifer Bonjean, argues the RICO charge was a stretch. They claim his entourage, managers, drivers, and assistants were just doing their jobs and not conspiring to commit crimes. Bonjean told the Second Circuit Court of Appeals that applying RICO to Kelly's music career was preposterous, comparing it to criminalizing a college fraternity. And guess what? Bonjean had a very great point. Let's break down the charges.
The state filed their motion, the defense filed a response to the motion.
So I wanted to make the court aware that the defendant has.
The RICO count required proving at least 2 of 14 predicate acts like sexual exploitation or kidnapping, at which the government failed miserably. The Mann Act charges hinged on Kelly transporting women across state lines for illegal sexual activity, often because victims were underage or unaware of his STD. Kelly's defense argues the evidence was shaky. Many accusers were adults in consensual relationships, and some allegations dated back decades, raising questions about statutes of limitations. Indeed, Mann Act charges with regard to a woman like Faith Rogers, who was 19 when she met R. Kelly, are not just shaky but also absurd. His defense also argues that the only enterprise that existed was Kelly's legal music business and not a criminal syndicate as alleged. Critics of the case point out that RICO's broad language allows prosecutors to bundle old allegations into a single overwhelming charge, making a fair trial nearly impossible. It's logical to argue the system disproportionately targets successful black men. Look at the pattern. Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein faced similar allegations, but only Kelly got RICO charges. Why was Kelly's case different? We cannot be blamed to think that the Mann Act and RICO are selectively used to clip the wings of black stars who challenge the status quo.
Nearly 4.5 years after Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in a New York federal prison, the names of Epstein's associates, employees, and alleged victims are now unsealed in court documents.
The broader picture is troubling. From 2012 to 2022, federal RICO cases surged, often targeting individuals outside traditional organized crime. Black entertainers like Kelly and more recently figures like Sean Diddy Combs have faced similar legal scrutiny. It's in fact becoming more difficult every single day for a black man to succeed in the US and take his success with him to the grave. As if black families are not entitled to an inheritance in millions. On X, users have called this a playbook to dismantle black success, pointing to the lack of co-conspirators in most cases, which weakens the RICO framework. Kelly's 30-year sentence plus a separate 20-year sentence for child pornography is an indirect life sentence. His supporters ask, is this justice or a vendetta against a black man who flew too high? R. Kelly's story is complex. And we agree, like many other people, he's not a saint. But the use of RICO and the Mann Act raises questions about fairness and intent. Was Kelly a predator running a criminal empire, or an ordinary flawed man targeted for his fame and race? The latter is definitely true. As his appeal to the Supreme Court continues, the debate rages on. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.